What do you want to hear from President Joe Biden at tonight's State of the Union address? 217 629 7970. That's the phone number for you to chime in here live and local. You can also email bishoponair@gmail.com. Let us know what you think the president should say. You've got, of course, the issue of the trucker protests that apparently is headed towards Washington, D.C. Don't know if they're going to be there tonight, but they've got fencing and barricades that they've put up all around the Capitol. You also are not going to see some masks being worn inside the Capitol building. Apparently, that's been lifted. You might see some people wearing masks in the joint session of Congress hearing the president's speech, but apparently that's not going to be a requirement inside the U.S. Capitol anymore. So just some of the optics that there are, of course, with the fencing around the Capitol and no mask mandate apparently now in the Capitol. You've got the president who's going to be making an address to members of Congress and to the American people. But of course, you've got the international conflict with Ukraine and Russia and the EU and what the U.S. is thinking of doing and what exactly is the president going to say in terms of that. But thinking of the past year, all of the various other things that have happened, you had the withdrawal from Afghanistan, which has been roundly criticized. Will the president address that? Will the president talk about record inflation with people paying even more than they have in the past month, let alone the past year, at record levels? You also have high energy prices, and that seems to be compounded even more by what's going on with Ukraine and Russia. So I want to hear from you, 217-629-7970. Again, 217-629-7970. What kind of things are you looking for the president to address in his State of the Union address? Maybe he talks about Ukraine and the people of Ukraine and how they are taking up arms and protecting their borders and trying to stop a foreign invasion from coming into their country. Will he address that? Will he talk about the Ukrainian people taking up weapons? And some of the videos that we've seen online, people making Molotov cocktails, handing those out at food trucks, or people in Ukraine being given rifles and AK-47s, for instance. It is kind of interesting to see some of the praise for those types of things, and the Ukrainian people stepping up to be armed and to protect from an invading force, coming from the same people who are praising that, who want to limit individuals in the United States from being able to access such weapons. There's a little bit of a disconnect there. I'm not sure some people quite realize is a bit of a disconnect, but I mean, the Second Amendment in this country, obviously, well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Again, free state doesn't mean hunting elk or deer. A free state means free from tyranny and also free from foreign invasions. So you see the Ukrainian people stepping up to protect themselves. And some indication early, at least yesterday, was that what they were doing was helping. They were pushing back some of the Russian forces, but that may have just been Russia coming in with a vengeance, taking a step back, and then bringing in another wave. So there's a lot of moving pieces in Russia when it comes to issues of the Ukrainian people trying to defend against that invasion. But how much of a focus that will be tonight at the State of the Union address still has yet to be seen. You've got President Joe Biden set to address the nation. I want to hear what you want to hear the president say. You want him to address energy in the United States? Do you want to hear him say we're gonna increase energy production so that we have lower prices and more stability in our energy markets here in the United States? Do you want to hear him focus on how he's going to combat inflation? Do you want to hear him maybe talk about infrastructure or the Build Back Better plan that hasn't materialized and apparently is dead on arrival? Do you want to hear him talk about COVID-19 and declaring victory in COVID-19? What do you want to hear the president say? 217-629-7970. Good morning.
I think it would be nice to see a little bit with addressing the whole fact that a lot of the inflation is because we're relying on shipping containers from China, because a lot of the companies in America decided it was cheaper to move the jobs to China, and now with the supply line problems, we're having problems. Regarding the guns and that, I think you did bring up an interesting point, and I think increasing freedom with the weapons should go hand in hand with addressing why the heck 80% of the deaths are suicides with the guns, because that implies a large mental health issue among the people who are dying with the guns.
Yeah.
And you know that as well as I do, I'm sure, if you've kept up on that.
Well, yeah, I mean, self-harm's a horrible thing, regardless if it's with a gun or with drugs or anything else. But, yeah, I mean, there's a whole host of other issues that goes with, societal problems when self-harm's involved. But when it comes to China, do you think the president's going to actually address China head on and maybe use the bully pulpit, so to speak, to say, China, take a side here? Are you with Russia or are you with the West?
Honestly, I think they're going to straddle the fence. They've had a couple of banks shut down some of the things with new loans to Russia. But Russia, the method that China prefers using for taking over countries is more what we're using to try controlling Russia right now, which is economics. They do these really cruddy payday loan type things for infrastructure with other countries, and next thing you know, when it comes time to pay back, you're being asked to maybe adopt. I think one country in Africa was asked to adopt the Chinese currency for trade, much as the dollar is used in a lot of countries.
Yeah. So I mean, you're delving into some pretty nitty gritty, but yet important details about currency, which is going to be the dominating currency when it comes to the global economy. I don't know if the president's going to get into those minutia yet, important details, but I appreciate the call. We're going to get some more of them. 217-629-7970. What do you want to hear the president say at the State of the Union address tonight? Good morning.
I only want him talking to what he's qualified to talk about, which is hairy legs, Amtrak chains, and corn pop. And that's it, because he's going to screw everything else up.
So you don't want him to address what's going on with Ukraine, what's going on with the economy. You just want him to kind of revert back to some of his old-timey stories?
I'm just telling you, Bishop, I mean, those are incredibly important issues on the global stage, and the man is unqualified to address them. In a live setting, whether it's teleprompted or not, I don't think, I mean, it's scary more than anything, but the man's just not there. He's not qualified for any of this. If we've paid attention, which most of us haven't, he's well beyond his years to be a politician, let alone the president of the free world.
We'll see what he has to say, though, as president of the free world. Appreciate your thoughts. 820, good morning. You're on WMAY. What do you want to hear the president say? Good morning.
I want to hear him say 2 words. I resign.
Don't think that's going to happen. If he did, terrible. That would mean President Kamala Harris.
Well, at this point, what's the difference? He's worthless, beyond worthless. And he's like I don't even know. I can't even describe it. The previous caller nailed it on the head. He took everything I was going to say. He's not qualified to talk on anything because everything's been a train wreck since he got in. See you, Bishop.
I appreciate the call. And again, that's what we're here for, to hear from you at 217-629-7970. What do you want to hear the president say during the State of the Union address? There's a lot of things on the table. I mean, he's only been in office for a year, and in that year we've had record high inflation. We've had gas prices through the nose. We've had another country invade one of our allies. We've seen, the COVID-19 flip-flopping, tumultuous rules here and there all over the place. While most of the country wasn't really following any of the CDC guidance, we've seen, of course, various types of optics around the U.S. Capitol with fencing being put up and then being taken down and being put back up. So it's been a pretty wild year so far. What do you want to hear the president say in his State of the Union address tonight? Good morning. You're on WMAY.
Yeah, absolutely nothing. If he was smart, he would cancel it.
Well, again, just some different types of perspectives here, and we're hearing from you at 217-629-7970. Good morning.
Morning, Greg. How you doing, sir?
Hey, Tim, what's up?
Hey, I don't think it really matters what he says. Nobody's either you're going to like him or hate him, so It doesn't really matter. But I really would like to hear him address Ukraine. I still think the American spirit is when you see a bully picking on somebody, you go after him and kick the snot out of them. And we did it, granted we were lied to in other wars like Vietnam, but, we weren't even wanted there in the first place. But there are times when people have wanted us to help them and we've helped them. Now, I'm not saying we need to get in a fight with Russia, but I can remember a time back when our military was more than willing to go toe-to-toe with Russia. And I think we give China and Russia way too much credit. You're like, hey, we can't touch them. We can't go after them. We can't do anything to ruffle their feathers. I think we need to stand up with that big club and say, you don't like what we're doing? Come at us and change us. I really do.
Well, we'll see what the president has to say about Russia, about China, and other issues. But you're looking for him to address more international issues than domestic issues, and I think we'll see a kind of a mix of both. Appreciate all the calls here on the WMAY Morning News.